Hi YouTube! Fall Winter 2025 Fashion Month has finally come to a close, so I can finally bring you this video. It started a little later and ended a little later, that's why I'm making this now. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this and find inspiration in these trends from the runways. And of course, as I always say, even though this is for later this year in 2025, you can totally be shopping these trends and styling these trends right now, and I encourage it. So, pastels. Just like the summer 2025 runways, the winter runways for the same year see that pastel trend sticking around. Hold on to those sweet shades and layer them up for the colder seasons. There was plenty of baby pink, which is right now a big shade and gonna stay a big shade. This soft colour lends itself to bows, ribbons, ruffles, that kind of stuff, but also looks really good in all of the sharp tailoring that we've seen on the catwalks. Baby blue equally is carrying on through and is perfect if you've got an icier, cooler base skin tone, and it pairs quite well with a blue eye, right? Remember, you can also get a light blue with a warmer undertone if you would like to have this icy shade in your wardrobe as well. Vibrant and zesty mint was also around, and you might find a coat in this colour at the end of the year. Personally, I think mint looks great with its opposite colour on the colour wheel, red, and we did see this on the runways as well in shoes, which I think is quite a nice way to add that pop of colour against the mint. Butter yellow is another shade that's at the height of chic right now and will still be in the fall, so hang on tight to those shades if you've already started stocking up. Creamy tailoring says, I'm in business but I still have a sunny and happy disposition. Grey. If you're a cold skin tone and the pastels aren't quite doing it for you, you're a bit more muted, an icy grey could be a great and trendy option. It also works really well for an autumn skin tone as a neutral shade if it's got that warm base to it, and you can get warm based greys. Why so much grey, I was asking myself. I felt like this was a reflection of a current worldly grey mood from the state of current affairs. Certainly the New York part of Fashion Week felt really different than before. There were barely any catwalk shows compared to usual, much more photo shoots of collections, and those collections were quite understated and not as fun and opulent as some of the other countries' offerings were. But anyway, in the colder seasons, you do like to be a bit understated and snuggle up in a grey, and there was plenty of snuggly grey knits. We did also see that grey in a lot of checks and tweeds and pinstripe and those kind of officey academic fabrics. This tied in with an overall preppy feeling that there were in quite a few collections. Wine. The past couple of seasons had a lot of hot spring warm red, and we started to see a introduction of a deeper, more maroony red, which I'm calling wine, which is currently very fashionable and will continue to be very fashionable. These blood reds are in those dark tonal tailoring pieces, and many brought a sultry, sexy, vampy, gothic feeling to them. Wine red is quite a nice alternative to those brighter reds if you're someone that can't take such an overpowering shade. The pinkier-ness of this red is good if you have that pinkiness in your skin, so I would recommend it. And deep dark reds like these will still give you that internal boost from wearing a red. You know, psychologically you will still feel like the person in the red something at your interview or your first date, but it'll be more of a match for you. With it being such a trendy shade, you will definitely be able to find it around. Animal print. Like the previous season, leopard print is still out and about and doing well. Few, right? Well, for me anyway, few. This print flowed in floaty chiffons, paired against girlier lacy textures, was in knits, and in standout coats. So if you're into animal print of some variety, leopard, zebra, snake skin, that kind of thing, you'll be able to find it. What is good about this print is that there is a black in the pattern, but it still has a warmer and brighter undertone to it, which gives it a bit of a lift, and it looks great with a blocky colour. Could be that wine red, for example. Art print, I'm calling this. I called it drawing print, but anyway, this trend, it's not quite a print, but art-like, drawing-like designs printed onto clothing. We saw this on the runways. Different brush styles, different art styles, big bold paintings, stencils, real, not real, cartoony, tongue-in-cheek, bit of fun. We saw this and could be a fun project at home if you don't fancy purchasing an Erdem gown. Perhaps you want to edit something you bought in a charity shop, or something that you already exist with a bit of painting or drawing or that kind of thing. It's a nice way to elevate a simple design. Checks. I mentioned earlier that there was a lot of grey check, and other than that we did also see other variations of checks and tweeds and tartans, which are classic autumn winter runway fabrics. I think this does add into the overall preppy feeling that was around in that sort of schoolish academic way, and I think a lot of us feel for this kind of vibe when the leaves do start changing. And of course, as well as that kind of vibe, tartans, like the red tartans and checks, really do lend themselves to a punkier alternative aesthetic if that's you. Looks like you're going to be on trend this year, so more options and things you can buy. Florals. A more unexpected print choice for the colder seasons is floral. Florals for winter. Groundbreaking? These florals still reflected the mood of the season, and we saw them in darker fabrics, that kind of chintzy grandma style that I was talking about in summer, and not out of place at all. I think still very snuggly, or even sexier darker winter florals. Fringe. Getting into texture, another trend that is sticking around in high fashion is fringing. There were thick and chunky strips of the stuff, thin, different textures, some more wintry, wooleny types, others glittering and tinsel-like. There was a lot of this tinsel fringing, perfect for Christmas parties, and a bit of fun movement that you can add into an outfit. Party sequins. Speaking of Christmas parties, it's not all grey, drab wool. Many of the collections saw a sequin and a sparkle, and there was a feeling of that real person the day after the party in the same dress. I'm calling it Brat Winter. These sequins were in the classic party dress, you know, the whole thing of it, but we also saw many sparkly pieces paired with opposing pieces to make them feel more grungy and urban and casual, and a quite fun style mix and texture mix, having your sequin and sparkle with something else. Fur. The next texture that ruled the runways was fur, and that is not a surprise and shouldn't be a surprise for winter. In general, there were a lot of fur coats, and they were dramatic ones that you'd expect on a mafia boss, mob wife, Hollywood starlet. There was no quiet luxury here. There were some big fluffy floor length coats that can't be cheap, but you will stay warm and you will look flush. These coats were in all of the colours, although in particular there was a warm brown shade that I saw a lot, but definitely plenty of choice of fur coat, and it is that perfect way to finish off that party look. I think it gives glamour, so you can definitely find a fur coat in a colour that works for you and your outfits. Get more than one. A black one isn't gonna do it all. Get a few funky shades and find that length that works for you. It doesn't have to be dusting the floor if that's too overwhelming. Puffer, a classic coat style that we will have in the shops most winter. Practical, an urban everyday classic, and essential for those of us living in colder climates. Runways saw the puffer looking duvet-like, and who can blame a designer for helping us stay in bed and leave the house at the same time. The puff was also cutified, cropped, also down to the floor if you want it, with interesting fabrics, and we saw the puffy quilting texture not only in coats but other items also. So look forward to insulating your whole body in quilted puff. Duffel. Duffel meaning the closures that you get that are like loops and then something feeds through with a toggle typically. The duffel coat was another style that we saw plenty of. Feels a little Paddington, bit retro prep school again. These coats are a bit more cute and a bit less glamour, but we did see a fur coat with the toggle closures as well, those duffel closures. So yes, there were classic duffel coats, but there were also others that had been reimagined and edited, cropped, lengthened, fabric changed and modernized. Preppy. I'm going to get into this now because it keeps popping up in the other trends. This school feeling that feels like uniform, it feels like being the teacher, that academic feeling, university professor. The shirts, the ties, the suiting, the grey colours, the rugby shirts. We saw the shirt and tie being paired with things that weren't the suit, which we have seen on runways before. So if you have bought a tie recently to keep up with trends, seems like you can keep wearing it and keep being trendy. Peplums. This bad boy is back. Who remembers the 2010s peplums phase that we all had in fashion? Well, they are here and they are modern and they feel current. There's subtle flares on tops and jackets. There are peplums that are almost like skirts being put over clothing. They will certainly be about, and they could flatter anyone that wants to hide a cheeky stomach underneath them, or even add the illusion of more curve in that area if you can take some volume there. I'd recommend pairing them with something straighter underneath it so you don't continue outwards Christmas tree style. Capes. Summer sees us in capes in 2025 and winter does also. The same light glamorous capes swishing over our dresses in chiffon and lace that will warm our shoulders in the nighttime are still on the runways, and there are winter versions that are warmer and thicker also. Capes were laid on top of pretty much anything and everything. Some put on top almost like you're wearing a scarf, and others were built into the structure of the clothing. It was very present on the runways. Big 80s shoulder pads. 80s shoulder pads were ever present, making dresses and blazers feel retro and powerful. Some were subtle and some were really going for it. If you want to take up more space and add volume to your silhouette or just vibe with the past, have a go with this. You can pick up some vintage and retro shoulder pads if Stella McCartney is a bit out of your price range. Certainly we did see that 80s retro feeling throughout some of the collections. The slip dress, a 90s fave that yes, I will talk more about in my Explaining Eras 90s video that I am working and researching on. The slip dresses that were strutting down the 2025 runways were subtle, some lacy, some had some lace details, some quite racy, some with a cowl neck, and they were overall elegant and simple. simple elegance. These dresses are good for no fuss, chuck on style. We did see some with jewellery and accessories, mainly simply worn on their own down the runways. Personally, I like layering with these, so putting tops underneath them and putting things over the top of them. So if you're to get one of these, I do recommend taking them a step further from the runways, as well as just wearing them on their own and seeing how you can stretch them and get as much versatility out of them, because I believe they are very versatile and don't just have to be for occasion seasons. Grunging them and pairing them with less smart pieces can be really fun. Maxi skirts. So as you saw on some of those slip dress pictures that were around me, the length of many of the hemlines were pretty long. We're looking at ankle to floor long, dripping as you walk kind of length. Skirts of differing waistlines all followed suit, and we saw a maximum length that was very maxi, maximum maxi. There was volume, but there were also like tight tubes. Some had slits that would obviously help you walk with it, and there were also quite a few of these that had a fishtail. I saw this shape quite often, whether it was a classic fishtail or that there was almost like a little frill or a little puff or something at the end of some of these skirts. If you don't mind occasionally tripping on your hem, maybe walking holding them, occasionally dripping in puddles, then a skirt with drama like this can be a really fun and floaty choice, and will keep your legs warm in the winter, so there are pluses to them. It's a lot of fabric, so make sure you are able to take having that much fabric on yourself. Skinny jeans slash leggings. I'm calling this friend. Continuing on bottoms, I saw something that the Gen Z aren't going to be that happy with. Guess who's back? The skinny jean. This did feel mid 2000s, 2010s, Y2K kind of skinny jeans. So maybe the Gen Z will be happy with that at least. There were plenty of low waists on these skinny jeans, so everyone's happy, like the millennials like myself that still have absolutely no problem with them. The skinny jeans, there were a lot of classic ones, but there were also many modern updates. There were straighter legs that weren't as skinny, still a lot thinner and straighter than the wide styles of as of late, but there were also kind of baggier, and there were definitely modern takes for skinny trouser. There were many skinny trousers in suiting as well. Leggings were also very present, and many of them felt like tights. Having a closer leg fit like this is great for those of us that are happy with the shape of our leg and like to show off their leg curves. This can be good paired with a more oversized and larger top half, almost like when you're wearing tights with a wider dress. Can be quite nice if you are a apple shape and more of your curve is in that torso, and perhaps you want to wear some bigger shapes to hide that, and you have slimmer legs which you would like to be the star and show off, and you can definitely do that in a skinny jean and legging. Unexpected layering. I want to get into the unexpectedness of some of these outfit pairings. For me, this is what I enjoy in fashion. As a stylist, I always have, and it's perfect for the colder seasons as well, as most of these layering techniques add more pieces into the outfit, so do help us keep warm. A classic that we know and love is putting the hoodie underneath things, making your outfit feel more casual. A fave of mine is having a polo or turtle neck layered underneath things, whether that is a jumper or a shirt. Love to see that on a runway. I always feel like I'm doing that trend alone. If you're really cold, you can be doubling up your knitwear. We did see knitwear designed to be worn together, so part of a set. And some of the unexpectedness comes from the clash of themes. Your sequins with your knits, the shirt and tie with a fleece or a kimono. Unexpectedness comes from pairing things together that aren't in the same category. Dresses over trousers, Already influencers are doing dresses and skirts over trousers. It's very Y2K. And it's all great fun ways of injecting personality into outfits, mixing these themes and making unique combinations that can add more shape, give you an interesting and different silhouette, show fun fabric combinations, color combinations, texture combinations, pattern combinations, clashing and not clashing, taking clothes into new contexts so that you can spread pieces across the season, get more wear out of them, make those pieces more versatile. We definitely recommend you trying this yourself. Bows, they just won't go, and I'm not ready for them to anyway. Sweet bow details found their way into any kind of closure possible, adding a nice detail and finish to sometimes quite simple looks. I think elevating them. There were thin bows, contrasting in colour, not contrasting in colour, subtly there, some not so subtle, the star even of the look, thicker bows and ribbons making standout finishes, bows on any part of the outfit you can think of, bows as collars, so like a pussy bow for instance, bow scarves. Really enjoyed seeing some of the bows almost worn like a tie underneath shirt collars. All findable now, all very doable now. So certainly if you like this trend, like I've been saying, I feel in a lot of videos, you can do bows right now. Brooch, something new but old in origin, is the brooch. Modern times we don't really typically see a young person rocking a brooch, but they are back and they are for everyone. As pointed out in my Oscars video by a comment, menswear's already seeing them on red carpets. Brooches are a nice way to add a little shot of personality to a look and give it that finishing touch. They tie in quite well with this personalization trend that we're seeing on bags with things like key rings. It's almost like having a key ring closer to you, more visible in this central area, which is probably how it naturally, we've gone from key rings to brooches. It feels like a very natural progression in this current era of trends. Some of the brooches weren't just high-end feeling classic jewellery like metallic gold and silver. There were also brooches that felt almost like wearing badges. We saw brooches in a variety of finishes and colours and styles. And in a way, like a keyring, you can be putting these brooches anywhere. If it's got that pin, you can be pinning it to any part of the outfit and making that area more visible, more of a highlight. And if there's a hole or anything, you can be threading something through that hole. Brooches are another fun personality shot. Icebreakers, we love those in outfits, and they make really good gifts. If you're doing some vintage shopping, you might come across something nice to give someone. Long socks. This trend I am absolutely here for and very happy about. I have been wearing long socks since I was a teenager, despite this. I am, would you believe, an adult. Anyway, long socks were gracing the runways, both over the knee, peeking out of boots, long boots, and below the knee, sometimes sagging, so more of a relaxed fit. There were thicker, wintry woolen ones, thinner ones, different colours, different textures, some the same colour as the shoe, not stand out, some more stand out. These winter warmers are great ways to not wear tights if you don't like restricting your stomach. If they are not warm enough for you, just wear some shorts underneath. That should help, I find. Warms your bum. Gloves. Gloves shouldn't be a surprise for this season, but the gloves that we are seeing on the runways aren't just your classic knitted mitten for warmth kind of glove. There's long up the arm gloves, very retro vintage glamour, that are made to make a statement. like a piece of clothing in themselves. And not just evening wear gloves, there were leathery style day gloves, knitted ones, but there were a lot of very long and dramatic gloves. So that's the video. It's been a long time in the making. If you were waiting on this, thank you. Thanks as always to Vogue. I have been on there every day since Fashion Week has started, and it's also worth mentioning that as well as finding and noticing these trends myself, places like WhoWhatWear and FashionUnited, as well as Vogue and the other magazines, Elle and Tatler and stuff like that, have been releasing some fantastic trend reports that have helped me notice more trends and find some of the items to go in those trend folders quicker. So there is a lot of good resources out there. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed looking at these collections. Always open to your ideas. Do let me know if there is anything you would like to see, because if I like it, might work on it. Yeah, thank you for supporting this channel and watching my videos. Have a good day. Goodbye.